Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Municipal Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, July 10th, 2025. I call the meeting to order at 12:03 p.m. Are there any additions to the agenda?
I have no additions. However, section 5.1 development permits applied for up to July 7th unfortunately was missed within your agenda package. So I will be removing that from our presentation and discussion today.
Okay, so can I get an adoption of the agenda with the amended? Art?
I move to accept the agenda.
You have to say for the date
okay.
and as amended.
I move to accept the agenda for July 10th, 2025 at the Municipal Planning Commission.
Thank you. And a seconder? Shelley? All in favor? Carried. And can I get a motion for minutes from the previous meeting of June 12th? Shelley?
I propose that the Municipal Planning Committee adopt the minutes for the June 12th, 2025 Municipal Planning Commission meeting as presented.
Andrew, second. Any comments? No, I just want to make sure that we were all here that day. Yep. Okay. All in favor? Carried. And we're not going over the summary development permits. So on to 6.1 development permit T00057-25D. Are you going to go through it and then we'll do the motion, Antonia? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Soretta. So in front of you today, we have application T00057-25D. This application is for a dwelling unit garden, which is a one-bedroom, three-season garden suite. So the subject location is a developed interior lot located within Nackmine at 253 4th Street. The property has several structures situated, including a dwelling unit single family. So that's a primary residence with no basement suite, as well as a detached garage and a detached shed. So those are both considered accessory buildings. The land use district designation within this area is the neighborhood district. So our application that has been received is a 350 square foot garden suite located to the southwest of the property. This is a pretty large lot, so there is it doesn't come anywhere near our parcel coverage, which is around 30% within this application. So with our consistency with our municipal statutory plans, the subject property is outside our intermunicipal development plan areas. It's not subject to any area structure plans, and does appear to meet policies within our municipal development plan. Our municipal development our municipal development plan does outline some policies for secondary units within our residential neighborhoods. So my apologies here while I flick through my pages. Section 9.3 residential neighborhoods within our municipal development plan outlines some additional policies for a wider range of secondary suites, including the 9.31 of the MDP encourages the development of attached and detached secondary residences. So this would be considered a detached secondary residence within our MDP. For our land use bylaw conformance, the dwelling unit garden is considered a discretionary use within the neighborhood district, however, is required to meet our setback requirements of accessory structures. So the setback requirements for accessory structures would be 1.2 meters from the rear and side setbacks, which this application does meet, however, does not comply with the 4-meter required setback from the principal dwelling. So the principal dwelling to what is being proposed here is 8 feet, so 2.43 meters. That's a 44% reduction in the required separation between the buildings. The Municipal Planning Commission may grant a variance for setbacks, building heights, and site coverage up to 50%. Like I mentioned before, the application does fall into the parcel coverage for the district. Maximum parcel coverage is 70%. This application covers approximately 30%, and the proposed structure is well within the maximum height requirements. So our options for the Municipal Planning Commission today are our standard options. You may approve the application subject to the conditions that have been presented, or in addition to additional conditions that you may come up with, providing that they do conform with our land use bylaw and what the MGA does state for conditions that can be placed. The application may be refused. However, we do also need to specify those reasons for refusal, or if you are unable to make a decision to be rendered today, we can postpone the application pending submission of additional information that you may request. We do have representation from the applications here today within our gallery, so if there were any questions, hopefully that those can be addressed. I've also spoken with the applicant. I have an email this morning addressing a couple of questions that were raised by a member of the public. We did receive one letter formally submitted from a resident that does have some questions that is towards the back of your application package. And then a second letter which was the questions were addressed by myself to the person who was raising questions, so that application submission letter was withdrawn. I think that's it. I ready for a motion.
Yeah.
I think.
Can I get a motion, please? Art. Oh, you need to put your
Oh,
mic on.
I thought I did.
No,
I
it's
move that the Municipal Planning Commission approve development permit application T 00057-25D for the construction of a dwelling unit garden placement located at 253 4th Street, lot 1314, block 2, plan 7935 EM with conditions as presented.
Well, seconder. Andrew, thank you. Now comments and questions. Art.
My biggest concern, and it's not alone, is the distance between the garden unit and the house. To my thinking, that separation of two dwelling units is for fire protection, amongst other things, but mostly for fire protection, and that concerns me.
So with our separations, this 4 meters that is requested here actually exceeds the separation for typical housing. So our separation for houses would be 1.2 meters from the property lines, so a total of 2.4 meters. This application still meets that 2.5 meter separation from a typical house to lot sort of house subdivision. So I'm unsure where that 4 meters within the land use bylaw came from, but it does exceed the separations that would be typically requested in this neighborhood for houses on their own separate titled lots.
How can we go about addressing this? My suggestion is point by point, since it seems to be the most detailed thing going here. I don't know how to go about this. Because if we just continue to ask questions, that we're not gonna, are we just defeating ourselves? Because I mean, there's a lot of subsections and land use bylaw information here that's been provided by this individual.
Those were
Well,
provided by myself.
Yeah,
Sorry, so-
and don't forget, we're only approving the variance to the land use bylaw from the 4 meters to the 2.83 meters, right? So that's the only thing that MPC can approve here. Am I correct, Antonia?
Yeah,
That's
no,
what it's come.
so it's
yeah,
a discretionary use
because-
plus there's a variance. So
Right.
There's two things that.
Right, it's the garden suite as discretionary use.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. As for all of the other concerns that the resident had in the letter, those have to conform with our conditions.
Yes. So the letter that was submitted, a number of questions were raised. Many of them don't fall into the category of sort of planning and development. Some of them have been addressed. So the letter that was submitted from a adjacent property owner, the letter is not signed by a by the resident, so I don't know who actually submitted it, though I did receive it via email. So, questions that were raised were to do with the development being complete or near complete. So, from my discussion with the applicant, this was constructed on as a fifth wheel and then is being removed off the chassis of that. So, and then being placed on piles. So it goes from being what's considered a recreation vehicle to an actual physical structure because it's been taken off those wheels and made into a permanent structure. There are questions to do with the sort of the alley. However, this is a pre-developed area. So this being accessed via an alley, there are other properties down that street that are accessed via the lane there. Structural integrity, so this will all fall under building codes, so safety codes permits have already been submitted, though not taken payment for, have not been sent across because this needs to be approved first. So all of the safety code aspect elements will all be addressed after the fact. This is solely to do with the land use rather than the safety elements to do with those questions raised.
So I'd like to ask a question with respect to the front doorway of that garden suite.
Okay.
Seems to me that I read in the garden suite bylaws, because I too was interested in doing one, but it occurred to me that the doorway for the garden suite was not permitted to face the street. And currently it also faces the street. So I'm wondering, is that true or not true? Or, because I have the same question for myself.
That's not within our bylaws. Where
Uh,
did you see those regulations?
It is in the bylaws.
Do you mind recalling which section? And I can.
Well, I didn't bring it with me.
So I did include within the application package the specific sections of the land use bylaw that are applicable in this instance. Councillor Soretta, would it be wise to take a 10-minute recess?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, yeah, let's take a 10-minute recess so all of us at MPC can just go through this, the dwelling unit garden bylaw, real quick. Just so we're not wasting everyone's time right now waiting online for us to discuss. We're not going in camera, we're just taking a 10-minute recess to give us time to go through this. Yeah, let's come back. Let's even say at 12:30 we'll come back. Does that give you enough time? Okay. So yeah, we'll be back in at 12:30 in about 14 minutes. Thanks. Is it Rosa or Rosa? No. I can never get you three. Do you want to come in the front? Because I feel like we are going to have questions, and then you can answer them. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Pardon? I know. I'm waiting for David to give me the signal. Oh, we're on. Oh, sorry, David. Yeah, I didn't see you. Sorry, everyone. I was waiting. Welcome back to the MPC of July 10th. We're just discussing development permit number T00057-25D. Motion has been put on the floor. We're still in discussion, so I'm just going to open up the floor again for questions or comments. Who would like to go first? Thanks, Art.
I just wanted to, put it on the actual record about the section K, all parcels with a dwelling unit garden shall have a driveway that provides access to the dwelling unit garden from the side yard or rear yard. That should be a condition.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. I'll just leave it for the floor. Shelley, do you have anything? Andrew?
The only thing I have in addition to all of that is the services.
So I have
Where,
been in.
where are the services being directed from, and they must go through the main house?
Yes,
Right.
they are within the application was to be run from the main house to this unit. So that'll include water, sewer, which are municipal services, and then the electrical will need to be a secondary line, as well as if there's any gas in this as well, which I don't believe is the intention, is to install any gas within the unit. Thank you. So there wouldn't be a gas secondary
No,
line.
but addressing the cable going underneath the back alley to the other dwelling supplying power is temporary. Is that?
I've been in so that's not part of this application, but that has been discussed with the property owner as well to address that concern that was raised by an adjacent property owner.
So it's temporary power, or is it not temporary power?
It's not power. It was.
It's not for our concern at this point.
Yeah.
It's not for our concern at this point.
So a condition will be placed on this to service both the water and the sewer.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
To ensure that it follows what is written within the land use bylaw. The cable that was flagged by an adjacent property owner has been addressed with the applicant.
And again, that's also part of permit processing. That's inspections will come.
That's
all
through
that,
safety
okay.
codes rather than land use.
I actually just had one question. So just because of the variance that is being requested, if the unit was turned opposite way, would that allow there would be no variance required?
Yeah, that's right.
And is that a possibility?
I'm unsure.
Is that a question I can ask the applicant? Okay.
We weren't planning on moving it. There's just like another addition somewhere where I can go if I don't want to be with my husband. You know, just somewhere. It's just gonna like a little shed, right? Somewhere you can turn the TV on, listen to music without being in the same unit. Or if you have family guests over, then it'll be a nice place for them to stay in.
Okay, no, I know that's not my question. So, MPC is trying to determine if we're going to approve the variance because you're where you have your building that you're putting is too close to your house. So, that's part of the permit that we're trying to approve. Now, if you change the direction of this building, we wouldn't have to. The only thing we'd have to approve is the discretionary use as a garden suite. But the variance wouldn't be a discussion. So that's my question to you as the applicant. If you were to change the way it's going to be positioned, is that doable?
It is doable, but it would be such a shame. I mean, the reason why we started doing it that way so you can have the nice view of the backyard, right? Just to enjoy the peace and quiet.
Okay.
But I guess it would be doable if it had to be done.
Well, then, and I'm just thinking about the driveway section as well, is that it looks like currently from your drawings, there is no space for driveway currently where you have your building located. And that's going to be a requirement. That is something we are determining that will be a condition that a driveway have to, because that's what the land use bylaw allows and we can't change that.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking forward of something that as an applicant, maybe those are some considerations.
I will
So-
have to talk to Andy about that because I didn't think it would be just like a backyard, like a garden center that you wouldn't need a drive-in to drive into because it's just kind of like part of the property.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just that the land use bylaw
Yeah.
states that a driveway has to be included for any garden suite.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to talk to Andy about that. I don't
Yeah.
really know anything about.
Yeah, okay.
that
Are,
department.
I think I might clarify a bit for you. Regardless of your intentions for the dwelling, we have to plan for the future.
Mhm.
And the future, you might sell to someone and they decide, oh, I'm gonna rent that out, and they have a car, and now where are they parking? So this has all been thought out long, long ahead of time, and it's down there for a reason, and we can't go about changing it.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate your building is somewhat constructed already, as I understand. So that would, your footings are down and all that stuff, that it's in place?
It's not in place.
Well,
It's not. It's not. It can still be moved if it needed to
Okay.
be moved.
so
It can be
that,
moved.
that might be a consideration with the driveway, as she mentioned, it'll give it room.
Okay.
and thank you, Art, for, clarifying. It's not just, we believe your intention and what you want to do with this unit. We support, that's great. Maybe it's for your mom or, an elderly person living too, right? Like, we don't know, but it's about the future and what we have to, because the next person that goes maybe to buy your property, and they can't use it for their intended
Yes,
use.
yeah.
But if we set that up for success, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Devin, I know you had a comment or a question.
I was just gonna quickly talk about the dwelling unit separation. So within the building code, they address something called high intensity residential fires. And that deals with the separation distance between dwelling units. So in this case, I believe that's gonna come into play, and there may be some larger setback requirements than what's actually considered with the land use bylaw, but that's all dependent on what the building is constructed of. That's gonna be above my head on building code specifics, but there's requirements on things such as glazed window openings or how many unprotected window openings are facing the principal building. What is that material between the two buildings? And that could greatly impact what the building code actually requires for separation distance. The other component too, between the two buildings, the only other consideration from the fire perspective or why a setback is included is access for emergency services. So if one building is on fire, or there's some sort of emergency situation, like does emergency services have room to get to the rear of the principal building or the front or rear of the garden suite?
Okay, thanks, Devin. Those are good points. And obviously, the developer applicant has to deal with the building code in regards to those as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct, because the next step would be applying for a building permit should this application be approved. And then at that stage, they would need to meet those high intensity residential fire requirements. So that could even impact where the building sits on the property as it's proposed now.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to make a suggestion. I think we postpone this application pending a few things. Possibility of that building being repositioned, knowing the other building code requirements. As well as, well, then the variance can be eliminated. But then we still have to approve the garden suite, but that's my suggestion. And if anyone else has another suggestion, please talk now, and then if not, then we can make a new motion, so.
I like your suggestion. I think this gives the applicant a chance to reconsider. If that was rotated 90 degrees, to provide driveway access and all that sort of thing, I don't see that there'd be any impediments to us. Well, it probably wouldn't even come to us. Well,
It still will because it's discretionary because it's a garden
yeah.
suite, but the other stuff would be eliminated, the
Yeah.
variance and,
Yeah.
and the driveway and, well, the driveway would still be a condition, but we know there'll be room for it, like those things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shelley, do you have anything? Andrew? No. What? You're all just agreeing with me today? I want to make sure that we all, this is like, you know, this is a good discussion around this and things that we need to consider.
I think that we should postpone it because I think there's a lot of questions and answers first that she will have to come up with to decide if it's worth her while, right? So.
Yeah, and that's, we're not refusing the application. We're just wanting you to consider some alternatives before we refuse or approve it. So that's why we're suggesting the postponing of it. You'll have to work with Antonia on this, right? Yeah. And so hopefully you can come back to us in a couple weeks or so. Okay, so obviously we need to, what do we do with that last motion? What is the what is the term that we use to abandon a motion? When we're not, because we have a motion on the floor, we have to refuse that motion, put a new motion on the floor.
So the motion was made in the positive.
Right.
Motions are made. You need to vote on the motion that was
Right.
already made.
Right.
So my recommendation is if we're postponing it, Devin, I'm going to ask you to chime in the second probably, is to not vote in favor of the motion that has been made, and then make a secondary motion.
Okay.
Is that correct, Devin?
Sorry, I'm just thinking it through because if he votes, it's like, would that be considered essentially a refusal?
Right. It is. And we don't want to refuse it, we just want to postpone it. Oh.
You could amend the motion, make a motion to amend the motion.
Okay, so we need to table this motion is what we need to do.
I move to table a motion.
Seconder, Shelley. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so next steps, applicant is to connect with Antonia. Okay, and you'll have to come forward again. And yeah, that's the best I can tell you. So we're not refusing it. We're not approving it. We just need a little bit, you can make some considerations based on our land use bylaw. Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, what's next on the agenda? Devin, do you have anything from Palliser?
I do not, and my apologies, I should have thought of tabling the motion.
No, that's okay. We all got it figured out. These don't come very often, so we have to, you know, ask around. We got it figured out, so thank you. All right, if there's no other discussion items, next meeting date is July 24th, 2025. Hopefully this application that we were just working on will be coming back then. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Shelley? Oh.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Seconder? Andrew, all in favor? Carried. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you on July 24th.